right. So welcome to another episode of Assets and Algorithms, the show where we explore the intersection of real estate and technology. I have with me today Mario Brown of Affordable Upstate and Noah Property Management. Thank you for joining me today, Mario.
Derek, thank you so much for having me. And I think this is one of the most fascinating intersections in business today is, real estate and technology. Such an old, antiquated, as old as time sector, and, really pulling it to the 21st century with technology. So excited to have the conversation today.
Absolutely. I mean, you summed it up right there. Why I love having these conversations, and I'm excited to dive in with you today. So I'd like to start just by asking you to share a bit about your role and how it fits into the bigger picture.
Yeah, so thank you for the introduction as well. So Affordable Upstate is a regional private equity owner operator here in Greenville, South Carolina, or the upstate of South Carolina. What we do is we go out through a syndication format. We buy naturally occurring affordable housing. So for your listeners that aren't familiar with that term of NOAA, these are 1970s, 1980s garden style apartments. And what we do is we first take them through a traditional value add business plan. So that's the CapEx, that's the unit renovations. But kind of unique to us is that we also layer an affordable housing incentive, namely a tax abatement, into the deal so that we're able to both generate yield for our investors while also keeping, let's call it Miss Gladys's rent in unit 105 below market, both a mission driven, serving our mission, but also generating a profit. So, what we've done over the last several years is spin off several, I call them containerized functions or business functions, but these businesses also kind of serve the market. So we have a nonprofit that actually layers those incentives into our deals, but it also does that for 14,000 other units of third party owners. And we also started Noah Property Management, which we're going to talk a little bit about today relative to technology. That its core goal is to really be economically mobilizing property management for those naturally occurring affordable housing assets. So it's a wide platform. We believe in going deep, not wide. We're actually working on a little bit of PropTech, our first kind of app right now as well, which is kind of cool, like solving one of our own problems. But we'll hit a little bit of that as well.
Sounds great, man. I love it. It sounds like you guys have a ton of layers to the company and the offerings that you have available, which is always great. I love that you mentioned Noah and some of that tech initiative that you have. Can you tell me what does the technology that you guys use on a typical day look like?
Yeah, it's vast. And if it's okay, Derek, I'd love to start with why first. Yeah,
Sure.
because as a owner of 1,500 apartments, our average property size is anywhere from 60 to 150 units. Our largest asset is 360 units, and our smallest is a 24 unit. We use several third-party managers over the years, and we were always a little dissatisfied with the having to send an email to request certain information, having to watch them be inefficient when it came to their SEO strategy and how the top of their sales or leasing funnel was very manual. So there was really a lot of observations. I think over the years we probably used 7 to 8 different managers. Got to the right size. We said, hey, what would it look like if we started a property management company and managed our properties? And we wanted to do that from purely a centralized format. So what we did, Eric, is we said, okay, well, let's go out and build a PropTech stack, a property technology stack that can actually increase and improve the KPIs that drive our business decisions. So I think the first lens is always, hey, will this improve occupancy? Will this improve collections? Will this improve turnover? Instead of being lost in the sometimes grandiose ideas of the tech or the claims of the tech, it's a very practical. We went about it in a very practical way. How can we solve for our leasing funnel? How can we automate the first 3 steps so that we can use fewer leasing agents and we can pay them more? Right. Yeah. So so in the way that we use technology, I'd say it's vast, but for this conversation, I love to focus it around tenant screening and leasing, because I think that's where it's kind of demonstrated and evidence the best. So it's from using the AI and automation at the top of the funnel, so that we're able to take in a lot more leads, and then work those leads, prompt them for application, and then our leasing agent comes in after we have approved applications. So just in that one step, we're able to take a leasing agent that maybe would produce in a good month 12 to 15 leases, um, and they can produce 35, 40 leases a month, right?
Wow.
Because they're not doing all the follow-up at the top of the funnel. Hey, will you come do a showing? Hey, will you come do this? Hey, will you come do that? So, even from, on the physical side, the hardware side, we use and I'm pumped to share them. There's Show Mojo is a technology lock that we use that allows for self-showings. And so we're not even doing showings. Obviously, we have to maintain the unit, and we have a lot of follow-up that we do before and after, and they have to give us an ID and all that good stuff. But it's it's all encompassing.
Absolutely. You said a ton there and a lot of great insights. So I'd like to keep it, like you said, around the leasing portion of it and how it relates to property management. I think using AI will enhance the human touch, but not replace, right? So I'd love for you to dive in a little bit more about how tech in affordable housing is enhancing and not replacing that human element.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a great point in terms of the goal of the technology. We didn't, we are able to manage our properties with fewer local team members, but that's not necessarily the goal. Our goal is actually to make a property manager's job an awesome job. Like for so long, it's a crappy job. They got to deal with like the worst stuff. They don't get paid enough. They have to spend so much time pulling reports together that they don't even get to the actual job of interfacing with people. So we want to, one, make the job better. When you make it better, you can, and then how do we pay people more, right? So obviously we have to have fewer people and we're going to pay people more. So that to say, AI is not something that, out of the box, it could ever really replace that human touch, when it comes to satisfaction of the resident, get questions around specific parts of the lease, and I think that is the kind of the delicacy with technology and real estate itself is there's always going to be a human component in real estate. It's bricks, sticks, and people.
Right.
So it's where that intersection happens or where that connection happens. Is it closer to the top of the funnel or at the bottom of the funnel? And I think what we've just been able to do is push it further down the funnel. Like the AI allows us to have our listings be seen by more people. They can go back and forth with the AI or the bot on basic information that we provide. And I'd say it's a little more than basic. I mean, we are also like doing long tail keyword blogs around our properties that we also feed that AI. It can actually have a little more information when asked, but really the goal of it altogether is to prevent wasting our leasing agents' time so that they can, again, have more fulfillment. I bet 85% of the people they talk to now turn into a resident versus it was probably 15% before.
Listen, it sounds like the technology is really improving efficiency and productivity for not only the leasing agents, and other constituents that help you manage that property. I'd love to talk about the revenue side, right? Because it sounds like Noah's leaning into centralizing tech-driven model. So how are you seeing that impact owner expectations and the revenue?
Yeah. So in spades. So in really the way it's realized is in savings. I think and to frame this for your audience. So we are owners and operators. So we own our portfolio and we also are now self-performing the management. So, we have a really, really unique insight in that designing a property management company that like with a zero, kind of in some ways, a zero sum lens. Does it improve the property's financials? That's that. If it doesn't improve the property's financials, it's a no-go. So I'd say that where we've seen the majority of Noah's efficiency kind of impact ownership and that multifamily P&L is through things like payroll and a payroll, right? So the traditional way to manage a large multifamily complex, if you were to go to the book would say 1 per 100, one person in, one person out. So one management staff member or leasing person, and then one maintenance guy. So for 360 unit that we have that, you round up on it. So it's 4 people in, 4 people out. That's
Okay.
8 people, right? That we have that are really doing mundane manual tasks with really no goal of actually driving change, just doing tasks. So,
Right.
and let me answer your question directly too, because I know I'm giving you a little bit of extra commentary there, but we've seen our expenses at the property level be reduced by 22% based on being more efficient with the staff, the technology, and the management fee. So typically in that traditional pass-through model that large complexes are managed with, it's a management fee and then all payroll and telephones and everything else that's needed to manage that property is passed on to the owner through the P&L. We're able to cut
Mm.
that. We're able to cut that in half by the way
Wow.
that we manage that. And that is a net 22% improvement. So that's an enhancement. I mean, that falls right down the bottom line, Derek. So that juices NOI, which means that our debt coverage ratios are better. That means we can go out and recapitalize the deal, refinance the deal in a cash out refinance format versus cash in, which interest rates have kind of pushed that a little bit more as of late. But no, it's actually for the first time in I say a decade of being in the business where we're actually seeing, improvements on the expense line. It's typically always grow the revenue, and we want to be there, and we are in terms of tenant programs and things that we do, like a tenant benefit package, like bulk cable and internet. But technology has allowed us to actually drive expense savings on large multifamily P&Ls on the expense line. So it's been really exciting.
Listen, man, that sounds amazing. I love the results that you guys have been able to get, and to know that it's technology driven makes it just a little bit better because you know it's scalable, right? You know that it's able to apply in many different situations. And you talked a lot about what's working well for you right now. I'd love to hear a little bit about what's frustrating. You got to take the good with the bad, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Nothing's 100% good and nothing's 100% bad. It's
Right.
really our wisdom and discernment to like be able to see the good and the bad and the bad and the good, right? So is that to say, I think the most frustrating, or I'd say like the biggest opportunity and the challenge is really in protecting the tech stack. When I say that, I mean, every other day we hear a new suggestion or idea that we should try to incorporate. And sure, it sounds great. Again, the first lens will improve financials. Okay, it will. All right. Well, how does it interface with our property management software? Is there a two direction API connection that can be established so that software can both send and receive from our PMS software, or are we going to be manually trying to connect it to the mainframe all the time? Right. So I think we have not been as diligent. We're not as early and truly understanding, like how protective and how important the integrity of that tech stack is. Who can connect to it? What are the permissions per employee? So that we can at all times maintain, crystal clear, 100% accurate data and reporting. So I think that's what we're cleaning up now. And it's not without its challenges. I mean, some of our tech side, we absolutely love it, but it's like, well, they still have not developed their API to be two directional. So like they can receive information from our property management software, but they can't send it back. So now we got to train our staff to go like log into their technology versus logging into their property management software like they do all the time. We want to make it easy and simple. And a term I heard at the Real Estate Technology Conference a few weeks ago in Vegas was tech sprawl. And I had their tech sprawl, and on the stage were managers lamenting how much, they've got 100 apps, 100 things. And they just, in tech sprawl for the first time was a real thing. Like, hey, you can really creep into these different things, these one-off tech solutions. If it doesn't tie into your overall thesis and your overall tech stack, most importantly, your property management software, all you're doing is creating another manual job. It doesn't matter if you're logging in to do the manual job on the internet. It's still manual if it's not to the mainframe.
Absolutely. Listen, I think security and the logistics of it all, making sure that it all flows well and doesn't have or create any new bottlenecks is definitely paramount when you talk about scaling and using these and relying on the information and integrity of that information. So I love that point. Absolutely.
And if I could, I'd add one more, and I think it's what we experience as at least users on our iPhones or the apps that we use, like or the yeah, if it's Uber or what have you. It's really like testing the software out from the consumer side.
Mm.
So like perpetually like going in there with a new ID and being a prospect, a resident. How does it feel? And what's the timing like? What are the prompts? What's it actually say to me? Does this give me confidence or does this give me more questions? Right.
Okay.
And I think that's, is it simple? Is it, fighting for simplicity, I think is also a very big piece when anyone's thinking about, infusing technology. Hey, we're bringing a big brain AI, large language model. Let's keep it simple on the interface side. We
Mm.
don't need like it just because we can do a lot doesn't mean that we need to show that when they're trying to go from, started application to completed application. Right.
Right.
Right. And then, hey, and you hit bottlenecks, Derek, which is, it's all about those bottlenecks. Wherever in our funnel we're seeing bottlenecks, how can we add a little bit more like, value prop to that prospect or something that would prompt them, so it's really taking it from the security side and, hey, is this a solid foundation that's secure? And then being a retailer and saying, how does this feel to a person walking into my store? Does it smell good? Is it clean? Are people nice? It's parallel to that.
Absolutely. I love that analogy. I'd love to consider so we talked about the things that are going great, the results that are being provided, some of the frustrating things and the opportunity in that to make things better. I'd love to hear where you think or where you'd like to be positioned in the next 6 to 12 months from now and what that looks like.
Yeah. I appreciate you framing that question like in a more kind of nearer term. And it's like 5 years, who knows, right? But
Right.
and I'll tell you in 6 to 12 months where we'd like to be. And I think for us, we would like to be really in a format where we're serving the more of the market. We solved our own problem in terms of property management, or we've eaten our own dog food, so to speak. We've really come up with something that we feel like can be catalytic for other owners of, it can be market rate or, the naturally occurring affordable housing that we do. We really feel like bringing technology to multifamily owners through management is the future. We can't, as an industry, lean on owners to be in their 30s like me or dealing with a relatively challenging asset with very inflationary cost who has
Hmm.
to come up with something like this. We need to
Hmm.
be able to, as the property management sector, bring technology to owners, bring a proprietary tech stack that includes like kind of the best practices and the best of AI, the best of automation, so that owners can realize those benefits on their P&L. So 6 to 12 months from now, we'd love to, be managing third-party properties. We actually have our first few candidates up that we're going to be onboarding here soon, and we're excited to really work out. There'll inevitably be more kinks to work out there, but to be in a format where we're actually able to impact more of the market.
Sounds great, man. I love that answer. It's all about the impact, right? And with that in mind, you may have touched on this a little bit earlier. I'd like to ask if you could solve one major challenge today, what would it be?
Man, yeah. So that's a great question because I have so many problems. No, I won't say so many problems, but this is a very innovative space, right? I mean, there's
Right.
not a great like track or model out there to say, hey, here's how you infuse technology. Here's where it's right. Here's where it's wrong. And sure that it might be there for single family. It might be there for brokerage. It might be there but specifically for larger multifamily complexes, we haven't found a great model. So I think so that just means that, hey, we need to be really good problem solvers, because we're gonna have a lot of them.
Absolutely.
It's the integrations. It's the integrations of these third-party softwares with our core property management system that it's really holding all the cards. So to make that an easier transition, to make that less put all the speed bumps in it, so that we could demo and test softwares faster, right? So that we roll every new technology through a beta and say a subset of 300 units, and we run that for a month and we observe, does it improve what we think? Can we say yes, or do we need another month? And so that's such a hard lift right now that we're only able to try 2 to 3 at a time. I'd love to be able to, test more softwares, and I think that what we'd have to have is better API, or smoother and easier API integration with the big boys.
No, absolutely. That's the next step, right? Being able to seamlessly integrate and share that information back and forth so that the information has integrity, it's up to date, and it can help you make those better decisions and
Yeah.
drive that impact.
You're right about that. And if I could add in terms of just that is the key difference that I never really anticipated. From the asset management side, asset management it's a lagging it's a lagging part of our business, right? Our asset manager is looking at last month's financials 3 weeks after month end,
Mhm.
right? So that's what he's looking at, all the reports, right? Here's what happened. Here's what
Right.
didn't. With all this tech and being able to extract information like live, we've been able to take asset management from a lagging part of the business to a leading decision maker. So each day we know exactly where all the numbers are, and it populates through our BI tool. We can see it,
Mm.
right? So we don't have to wait for a manager to tell us that we don't have enough available ready units. We already know, right? So we can make the decision real time. But there's so many other indicators. But I think that's really been a really cool kind of secondary benefit that I didn't anticipate was, being able to go from lagging to leading in asset management. And I think as owners, that's everything, right? We're, instead of working on the problem 6 to 7 weeks after it happened, we're working on week it happens, right?
Mm.
So that's worth it all right there.
Absolutely. It changes the game. Really great conversation today. I appreciate you joining me today, Mario. I'd like to give you the time to express any last words, let people know where they can reach out to you if they
Yeah, thank you, Derek. So you can find me on all the regular platforms on Twitter, the Affordable Housing CRE Bro or Mario Brown. And I try and put out as much, content to our projects and really this space that we find ourselves in, where we are, really making what would otherwise be considered uninvestable assets, those older complexes, we're making them investable. And we've raised $55 million for our projects over the last 8 years. But we really see this as something that most folks can do in their communities. And we really believe in community housing, that the neighborhood's housing should have some representation in ownership. And so we really want to help mobilize people to solving the problems in their neighborhoods. Yeah, and again, Derek, thank you for having us, and look forward to connecting with anyone who reaches out.
absolutely. I love that. I'm sure we'll be speaking again, but thank you for joining me on this episode of Assets and Algorithms.
Thank you, Derek.